Hello everyone and welcome back to another discussion video. Today we are actually going to be talking about the return of Walking Wake Iron Leaves and what this means for the future. Well, I said it before and I will say it again. I called this months ago that they were going to be doing periodic reruns of these Walking Wake Iron Leaves raids. 4 months ago is when they started doing it again. That was back in December, and that was the 3rd time they've done it. So this is the 4th time they've been doing a Walking Wake Iron Leaves raid. Now, you're still only able to catch one of them per save file, but what this does mean is that everyone is going to get a chance to actually get one. They aren't going to be perma-locked into just being able to play during these only few months, which is good. Which is one of the reasons why I said they shouldn't really be panicking about this. But before we get on to more about that, we've got a lot to talk about today, including the Switch 2, Unova remakes, Legends ZA, and the future of the Switch 2. And Dex expansions. So before we get into that, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more, and comment below. And for those of you Godzilla fans out there, we have several Godzilla-related videos coming out in the near future. Stay tuned for those. So the Walking Wake Iron Leaves rerun, which is once again happening. These are again going to be quite easy, and with the new Pokemon that have been added since the last time it's been used, well, we've got a whole bunch of new counters. Honestly, something like Ogerpon absolutely demolishes. Freaking Ogerpon absolutely throttles the Walking Wake and Iron Leaves. Same with Terrapago, so it should be a lot easier to take these things down. Sadly, I will not be able to reset for a 0 physical attack IV Walking Wake, which I screwed up on last time. But hey, maybe they'll eventually go into giving one accessible at all times. Which again, that goes into a theory I have for later on. But as for the Unova remakes, this is sort of my cracked out headcanon hypothesis theory thing, and that is, they were probably going to be originally releasing it this year, but they realized how much of a market there actually was for the Unova games after seeing all the outcry of support for the Indigo disc. They realized, okay, we actually do need to take some time and really polish these games up, release them on the Switch 2, because very likely if these games are also being handled by ILCA again, they're actually going to be significantly better quality than BDSP. One of the main issues of BDSP was Game Freak demanded from on high that BDSP follow the one-for-one remake formula. This was because of Legends Arceus releasing, and they did not want to release 2 very experimental games at the same time and risk one of them flopping. So they wanted a very safe game. Ultimately, this was a big problem, and ILCA actually couldn't do what they wanted to do, which was actually far more in line with a game like Oras than the eventual BDSP would have got. So what that means is, if they are handling the if they are handling the if they are handling the Black and White remakes, this will mean we will get a Oras-style Black and White remake, because this time Legends ZA is not releasing literally 3 months after Unova remakes. So they don't need to play it safe, which overall spells very well for that game. So we could actually get a Black and White 2 style post game with all the Black and White 2 extra areas. But this is where we get into the Dex expansions for Scarlet Violet and the Switch 2 release timeline. Very likely, we are going to be getting possible more Dex expansions. The only reason I think this is going to be happening is we are going to be going almost 2 years with no new content in Scarlet Violet if they release no new games this year, which is very likely. They are not releasing another game this year. They would have announced it sooner. So, how are they going to keep things fresh? Well, by adding in several more Pokemon. I did always find it very suspicious that even after the old legendary Dex editions were made, the Tapus, the Ultra Beasts, and the Kalos legendary trio was all left out. Now, as we figured out, the Kalos legendaries are left out because they're going to be in Legends ZA. But the Tapus and the Ultra Beasts all being left out is a little bit strange. Particularly because Tapu Koko gets Electric Surge, which activates Electric Terrain, which would be perfect for a lot of these past Paradox Pokemon. We have so many Pokemon that have sun-setting abilities, either Drought or a Calcum Pulse. But there are only 2 Pokemon in Scarlet Violet that have electric terrain setting abilities, that is Miraidon itself with Hadron Engine, and Pinkerton. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that they wouldn't add in Tapu Koko, because it is the only auxiliary electric terrain setter. But now we get into the Switch 2 timeline of things. And this is where we start having to look back at older Nintendo release timelines. This is something that I've kind of been working on for a while, but if you go back and you look at the history, they generally announce them about a year and a half to a year in advance, most, or they announce them within 6 months. And based on the previous release timelines in terms of lifespan of consoles, we are approaching the end of the designated lifespan of the Switch. Now, we don't know the name of the Switch 2 yet. The reason why we just call it the Switch 2 is it's just a colloquialism. But very likely, the earliest release timeline for the Switch 2, or I guess the latest, when it comes to fiscal years, which is basically how businesses divide up things, they switched over planning for next year for the Switch 2. Fiscal year starts around March, April. So what that means is Switch 2 may be releasing in March of 2025, which would actually coincide very well with the release of Legends ZA later that year, allowing them to do, say, a bundle special edition Switch 2, giving the system a good couple of months to spread throughout the community and get people to buy the console. Something like Legends ZA will likely put people onto the console and get them to buy the console earlier than they otherwise would have. This makes the most sense as, one, Nintendo and Pokemon Company will have an aversion to releasing a game before a new console releases, and is known to be releasing after the mistakes that were made of Black and White and Black and White 2, when the 3DS was a known release, and the sales of Black and White and Black 2 White 2 absolutely tanked. To this day, Black and White 2 is one of the worst selling games in the entire franchise, and on a per unit basis, it is the worst selling mainline game. It is only beaten in terms of poor sales by spin-off games. And by spin-off games, I'm talking about things like XD Gala Darkness and Coliseum, which, while are very beloved games, really didn't sell that well. In total, they barely broke 5 million sales. So likely they have a bit of aversion to that, so they're not releasing a new game this year to make up for that, and pushing up the release timeline of Legends ZA because of not releasing a Unova game. Because they're not going to make that same mistake again with Unova. Which again, those are just kind of my whole cracked out hypothesis theorizing things as I've been thinking about this for a while, and just wanted to put that out. With the Walking Wake video coming out, I felt it was maybe a good time to incorporate both of those into one thing. But thank you all for watching. If you haven't done so already, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more, and I will see you next time.